Hey guys, Derek here with Derek's All MMA channel doing my UFC 126 recap video. Solid night of fights, main event obviously ended in a spectacular fashion. I went 2-3 on my predictions. I'll get into that right away. First fight on the main card, Miguel Torres, Antonio Benzuelos. I took Antonio Benzuelos in this fight because I thought he would exploit Miguel Torres' weakness as far as strength and his better wrestling. Bad prediction on my part because I assumed that Benzuelos would actually stick to the game plan that would work best for him. He decided he would try to outreach a guy that has a foot and a half reach advantage on him. In the fight, Benzuelos just was staying at a distance from Torres, just trying to throw long shots, never really tried to close distance. The first round, Miguel Torres slipped, and I thought, Benzuelos is going to take this fight to the ground and, finish this round out on top, and win the round. He just told Miguel Torres to stand up and keep punching him in the face. Not quite for sure what Benzuelos was thinking. I guess I'm gonna have to focus more on my predictions if the fighters who are fighting are competent, not mentally retarded. Benzuelos may need to be checked. I'm not for sure if he's mentally capable of fighting. That's a tough one to throw at somebody, but his game plan was just ridiculous. Miguel Torres, points his way to a decision, kind of a fight that was hard to stay awake through. Benzuelos, I like to see him fight Demetrius Johnson next. Miguel Torres should welcome Scott Jurgensen into the UFC. On to the second fight on the main card, Jake Ellenberger, Del Rocha. I did predict this fight right. It was interesting because Ellenberger, you could see, was very confident. But as soon as he got down to the ground against this guy, he's like, holy shit, this dude's for real. I was taken back by how good dude was. So, Ellenberger regrouped, came through the second, third round, and kind of played it safe, do just enough to win out the rounds and get out of that fight with the victory. You could kind of tell his game planning and his preparation for this guy. He overestimated him. And kind of, in a way, disappointed in his fight that he didn't take this guy more seriously, didn't give him the respect that he deserved. But at the same time, you got to be kind of impressed with how he's like, okay, he acknowledged the fact of how good this guy was on the ground, and he knew, okay, what we had game planned for is not going to work. I'm just going to have to work enough to get the victory, which shows kind of some intelligence in the fighter, unlike the previous fight in Antonio Benzuelos, to where we're not for sure what planet that guy's on. But anyway, Ellenberger got the fight. I would like to see Ellenberger fight the loser of Fitch Penn. I think he deserves. I want to see him fight a top guy. He really needs to be challenged. And I think just where the rankings are, I see Ellenberger, the loser of the Fitch Penn fight, which will be BJ Penn. If BJ Penn doesn't retire, then I would like to see Penn Ellenberger after he loses to John Fitch. Third fight on the main card, John Jones, Ryan Bader. I predicted Bader in this fight. I thought he had the better wrestling, and I was wrong. I lost money on this fight last night. Bader was an underdog. I had to put money on him. I thought, Bader being the better wrestler, he would be able to get this fight down to the ground, avoid submissions, maybe pass to get side control, maybe mount him here and there. But nonetheless, Jones has the better wrestling. On paper, Bader had the better wrestling, but in MMA, in actual competition, John Jones had the better wrestling. And, Bader looked timid. Who would have thought, guys? Did anybody foresee Ryan Bader pulling guard ever? What was that about? Just a very strange fight. I'm very kind of dumbfounded still in this. But, nonetheless, John Jones, to me, I was more unimpressed with Bader than I was impressed with Jones in this fight. But, John Jones shows that he's got some chokes, that, he's constantly improving. I think, he's getting obviously the title shot next month against Shogun due to the injury to Rashad. I think it's going to be too big of a step for John Jones. But nonetheless, I think it's good for him to take this fight. And even if he does get pummeled by Shogun, it'd be a good learning experience and know and just be able to feel that next elite level of experience. As far as Bader goes, match him up with Alexander Gustafsson, who's coming up and looking real good in that division. That's who I would match him up with. Co-main event, Franklin Griffin. My main reason for picking Griffin against Griffin, I picked Rich Franklin in this fight, was kind of that Forrest hadn't fought in like 18, 19 months, and I thought he'd be a little bit rusty, and I thought Franklin his striking was a little bit better than Forrest's, which didn't prove to be the case. The big difference in this fight, though, was the size difference of Forrest Griffin. You could tell by these guys being next to each other that these guys are not the same weight class. Forrest Griffin cuts a lot of weight. Franklin needs to be fighting at middleweight. You know, even though Forrest is bigger than pretty much every light heavyweight, I mean, you could really see a huge difference in this fight. And basically, Forrest just, you know, used a good, you know, actually outstruck him, but when he got close to him, had 5 takedowns in this fight. So Forrest Griffin, you know, proved me wrong, looked impressive. You know, just to sum cap this fight up again, the size difference was the biggest difference in the fight. Where do I see these two guys going? Rich Franklin, I would see if Lewis Kane wins his next fight next month. I like to see that because Lewis Kane has had some problems with lefties. If Lewis Kane gets through his opponent next month, match up Rich Franklin, Lewis Kane. Forrest Griffin, I think he's a fight away from a title shot. He's won 2 in a row now, and just the way that division is kind of playing out. If Rashad can get back in good enough time, I like to see maybe a Rashad-Forrest rematch. But if not, I would like to see Forrest fight Machida after Machida beats Couture. So either way, Forrest is going to get a top 5 light heavyweight in his next fight, whether it be, in my opinion, Rashad Evans or Lyoto Machida, whatever way they decide to go. Main event, holy shit, Anderson Silva proves again why he is pound for pound the best fighter on the planet. You know, it was kind of slow starting out the filling out process, but with any real hardcore fan knew that was going to happen. When Belfort got the takedown on the kick that he caught from Anderson, and Anderson popped right back up, that was kind of the clincher for me that Anderson had this fight. But did I see that kick coming? No. You know, Anderson just showing his diverse in striking and just showing why, once again, he's the best pound for pound fighter on the planet. You can say, well, Victor maybe has better hands. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But the whole well-rounded striking game of Anderson Silva, it was just so much more dominant. Was at any point in the fight, he just had more tools to use than Belfort did. You know, great fight. Belfort, I think I would like to see Belfort. It's very important for me that Vitor Belfort, after such a long layoff, that he gets back in the octagon rather quickly. They need to have him be back in the octagon really quickly. You know, Brian Stand, Vanderlei, they're trying to make that fight happen. If Vanderlei can't get healthy, have Belfort and Brian Stand. It's very important that Vitor get a fight quickly. He needs to regroup from this, and just because he's had such a long layoff. Anderson Silva, crossing our fingers, hoping we'd had Anderson Silva GSP fight happen. And if it's something, if there's a kink and that kind of holds up, we'll see Anderson Silva and Yushin Okami. Sorry, I went 2-3 on this card, guys. My predictions I got right was Anderson Silva, Jake Ellenberger. I'll be back in a couple of weeks doing my UFC 127 prediction video. Let me know what you thought on the fight card, guys. And anybody want to give me shit after some of my predictions, I'm getting it on the Bader Jones. I'll gladly take it. I admit I was wrong in thinking that Bader had the better wrestling, and that would be the difference. But nonetheless, my first under 500 picks of the year. I'll bounce back next for UFC 127. MMA forever, guys. Peace.